Well, I think the first thing is to acknowledge that each conflict, in my opinion, actually has a purpose. So conflicts, from my experience, are the best opportunity, the greatest potential that we've got to self-develop. And if we can actually take these perspectives on conflicts, that will keep us a lot calmer, because then they're not just annoying and painful and stressful, but they offer great learning opportunities to us. So that's the general thing. Also, check yourself when you're in a conflict situation. What is it exactly that triggers me so much? What happens with me? Is that something that hurts me, that someone said to me? What do I actually need? Usually we have a conflict because there are two people, for example, two persons who disagree. There's also like opinion A, opinion B. I can say, hey, let's have spaghetti for dinner. You can say, I have pizza for dinner. That's already a conflict by definition. It's about how do we resolve the conflict. That's the interesting question. So if it's a conflict, this one would probably only be in our head, in our mind level. But if it's a conflict that really annoys me, because you always want to have pasta and you never ever let me have my pizza, then I'm getting a lot more emotional already. And so this conflict goes a lot deeper. But then we have the third one, because I think, you know what? You never look out for my needs. I want to have the freedom to decide what I want to have for dinner. And so this is why a conflict is actually so painful, because my basic requirement, my need for something is not answered. So in order to stay calm, I need to understand what is actually the need that is not answered, that is not heard by another person or by a situation that's not given me. Let's say it can be autonomy. It can be security. Financial security, for example, is a huge burden for founders, especially in the first couple of years. So this means this already puts me in a stressful situation. I'm feeling tense about that. And knowing this gives me the opportunity to react really differently, because I could say, listen, it is really important to me that once in a while I can actually say what we're having for dinner. This is really my need for co-decision. This is my need for taking on responsibility. And this is why I need you to listen to me, please, or let me have this. And this is maybe how we can come to an agreement. But it's a very different way of approaching a conflict.
All right, so conflicts are not something that we should be scared of. We should see it as an opportunity to grow. And if we understand our own needs, then you're saying we can go into conflicts in a calmer way because we can simply communicate those needs.
Exactly. So understand your needs first. Understand if your need is not met and responded to, then you will have certain emotions that you don't like to have, or that make you feel tense and stressed, and so on. And this is usually how you react, by being angry and by saying things that lead to a verbal conflict, for example, or verbal argument.
All right, so on a daily basis, first of all, we need to acknowledge that there's growth in any kind of conflict. So
Mhm.
that invites for some kind of affirmation or reminder sentence on a daily basis. And besides that, what I'm hearing is as a daily advice is to sort of look back on the day and see where did I react emotionally, and try to analyze what hidden need and how could I actually express this need.
Yeah, exactly. So being aware of your actual needs will help a lot. And this is something you can really do and you should do on a daily basis, especially when you have a lot of responsibility for yourself, such as a founder, such as any self-employed person. Understanding what is my need for security, for calmness, for relaxing, for autonomy, freedom, things like that. Maybe also friendships, being part of something, being part of a group. These are these really basic needs, basic requirements. We know them from the Maslow pyramid also often. He starts with the food and health and so on. But then, There are some things that self-realization, getting your objectives done, and so on. That means what is my need? What have I done in order to actually fulfill those needs? Have I come a bit closer to those? And if not, and I felt tense in a situation with myself, because we can have a lot of conflicts with ourselves, um, or with other people, why was that? Was that still a need that's not fulfilled? That's not that doesn't have a right place in my life.
And so some founders might think, yeah, that all sounds good and wonderful, and I wish I would have time to take a walk and analyze my feelings, but I have things to do. So, what would you respond to that? How important is this actually for a founder who's super busy already?
Well, if you don't do it, then you will not be so busy one day anymore, because this will knock you out. That's very clear. So this is time invested, and the more often you do that, that's a routine you build. You take a couple of minutes. So this is, you can do that on the toilet, in the shower, go for a walk, whatever, but build up a routine to just create the self-awareness. And if you don't do that, you don't have any chance as a founder, if you ask me.
All right, that's a very clear answer. You simply just have to do it and find the time for it. But is it then also realistic that you can meet all of these needs? You mentioned, for instance, the example of founders' financial security. How can you get this need met for financial security as a beginning founder?
Well, that's a very tough question, because probably you don't. But this is the thing. Okay, if this need is so great actually, that it makes you super nervous, you're not able to sleep anymore, and so on, then there's the question if you can actually ever stand the situation of being not in a permanent employment situation. So, but this is really important. Maybe there are workarounds, like you say, 50% of the time I allocate to a job where I get a fixed income, um, in order just to stay calm and really have this 50% of the time. Yeah, it's not 100 then, but then you have that you can fully dedicate to your new business. That's, by the way, how I did it when I became self-employed. That was 11 years ago. I wasn't cool enough. My savings weren't big enough to just become self-employed and just support myself for more than a couple of months. And so, in order to be a lot calmer, that's how I did. I just had another smaller job.
All
Yeah.
right, so it's a way of looking at reality, like the reality of your needs are so, and so you meet it with the reality of the action is, well, either you quit or you find another job or supporting job.
And that's the same, by the way, working alone or working in a team. That's a very typical thing. Many founders, they always want to have a founding team because they don't want to do it alone. But then you have all the issues that come with a team. So are you really, really willing to divide everything, to work on collaboration processes and so on? Or can you not just meet this need of belonging with your friends, with your family, with other ways? Why is it that you don't want to work alone? So, yeah, basically understanding your personal needs and requirements is really basic for having success.
All right, so let's say that we all start doing this, we start to get more aware and we can express our needs in a calm way. What happens if we are in the middle of a conflict with an emotion we don't recognize, but there is this conflict and we need to resolve it? What can we do in the moment if we're not prepared for it to
Yeah.
get calmer?
To calm, obviously, I mean, everybody has different ways to calm themselves down. For me, it's about breathing, for example, and feeling my feet on the ground. That calms me down a lot. Often, it also helps when you realize how you sit or stand, because often we have a lot of tension in the shoulders, for example, when we get stressed. So, for example, if you change your position, how you sit, how you stand, if you take a breath, or maybe you drink some water or something, just interrupt what your body is building up there. and just take the second just for yourself, that already helps. The next thing, in a conflict, it is always really helpful to, for example, to say, I feel this way, to say, this makes me sad. I feel shocked that we're having this. I feel really stressed about the situation. Because if you just, show your emotions to the other person, it calms the situation down a lot. If you just pretend, no, I'm super cool. Emotions are not a weakness, it's a strength to express them, and especially in a conflict.
Also in a working situation.
Yeah, definitely. It's necessary. So, for example, if I go into a mediation process and people usually they just argue about some tasks, some issues, but you will never resolve the whole thing by just talking about the issues. The turning point is always when one person gets calmer and calmer and then says, I feel hurt by this. I feel left out that you didn't invite me to this meeting. I don't feel like that you give me enough credit for my work, and that actually makes me feel, yeah, not seen. So this is when this other person is able to start listening. So emotions are key to resolving any conflict, and this is why it really helps when we are aware of our emotions.
All right, very excellent and to the point. So if we find ourselves in a conflict situation, we interrupt the boiling going
Mhm.
on with whatever we can find, and then we try to find it in ourselves to share our emotions,
Yeah.
which should then get the other one to actually listen.
Yeah. And also, the other person is not responsible for your emotions. I'm always responsible for my own emotions. But if the situation creates for me that these emotions are building up inside me, then I need to be aware of this. And by expressing this, I can actually give the other person the opportunity to start understanding me and what's happening in my inner world, because it's my inner world where the conflict starts. Or ideally, they can also express their own emotions and say, but this is how I felt. I always feel like I have to take on so much responsibility because maybe I know that you have so much going on in your personal life. I actually wanted to take away this whole weight off your shoulders. Very often, usually people, they act with the best intentions.
Yes.
Yeah, for themselves. But my best intentions might not be actually what you need.
So what you're saying is first there's a discussion of let's go with plan A, no, we want plan B. And then
Yeah,
somebody say, but this is how I feel. And then the other says, but this is how I feel. So
yeah,
we gone from the plan to the emotion. And
yeah.
what is it that the emotion then allows to solve?
And then we get to the needs.
Then we get to the needs. Okay.
Yeah. What do you actually need from me? I need you to involve me a lot more. I need you to invite me to those events. I need you to see me, to actually see my needs. So, and then, okay, your needs, my needs. So what can we do that both of them are met?
So how is this space between expressing your needs, but still not putting the responsibility of resolving your own emotions to the other person? How does that work together?
It's really difficult. That's why there are people like me when it's really escalated to help. But this is always a reminder, exactly. So here, these are my emotions. My emotions are there because my needs are not fulfilled. So okay, I'm expressing my emotions, and then that's a really good question you can ask the other person. What would you need? What would make you feel better? What would make you not sad? What would make you what can I do to help you? For example, the first thing is, okay, let's say the need is I want to feel more that I'm belonging to the team. I want to feel part of the team, and I feel very excluded from here because, for example, I'm a working mom and I never have time when you guys go to the pub and meet for beers, and so I'm always excluded from your social activities. Okay, so this is my need. I want to feel that a part of the team. That's my need. And then it's up to the group to think about what can we do in order to comfort your need? So for example, okay, why don't we have a team lunch where you can also participate? Would that help? Or maybe, we can plan ahead and you can organize a babysitter and then you come along. So the specific actions to take to resolve that so that your needs are met and you don't have to build up these emotions and so on. Yeah, you work out a plan. So you can also give your own suggestions. Maybe you have an idea. So this is usually how, if it's a group mediation, for example, where people come up together with ideas. Okay, we understand all the needs that are here now, why that all build up to this conflict. And now that's actually come up with ideas. How can we resolve that? Who has an idea? Because the problem is when you're already in this conflict, you're like in a tunnel. You don't see it anymore. You feel tense, you feel sad, you feel angry, whatever. And you will not come up with a great idea. Being from, oh, they always exclude me, I hate them, they don't really want me in their team, coming to, hey guys, what about can we have a team lunch so that I can feel like I'm belonging to the team, is a really big way.
Yes.
So this is why this process is necessary.
All
But
right.
it's really complex. It's one of the most complex things that people can do, being in a conflict.
Yes. All right. So what I hear is that we have I want to do this, I want to do this. We have some kind of conflict. And then the next layer is, no, I actually have an emotion. I also have an emotion. And then what is the need behind that emotion? And then we come to the suggestions of how to solve those needs.
Exactly.
So that would be the process when we're in the conflict. And to prepare yourself better to be able to go down this path in the communication, in the conflict, then you practice awareness on a daily basis. You identify the needs that you have. You practice maybe on yourself just to verbalize the needs that are behind the feelings that you feel. And you take the time, and you have to take the time because otherwise you cannot be a founder
Exactly.
successfully.
Yeah. And I don't see it like this. I see it like a U shape. So let's say here's like our conflict, then the emotions, then that's the needs. And if you're there at the needs, turning point, how can we do that? How can we integrate that into our daily basis again?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Conflicts are opportunities for growth. So just get in those conflicts and say, I welcome this conflict. Let's find out what is this about.
Embrace the conflicts.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Katrin. I wish you a nice day. And I won't say a conflict-free day because then you wouldn't grow.
Exactly.
All right.
Thank you so much, Rike.
Thank you, Katrin.